Hi there, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Capital A Trading. Welcome to another episode, the last one of the year, of my Forex Weekly. So for those of you who don't know, I'm just going to analyze the charts, look for the best investment opportunities, show you how I'm going to tackle them and bring them to you. So if that sounds good, if you trade, if you take investments, hit that subscribe button in the bottom right corner. Stay up to date with the channel. 2022 is going to be a massive year at Capital A Trading. I just want to say a quick shout out to my sponsors, the Absolutely magazine. Thank you for all your help throughout the year. It means a lot. You can check this out now. It's available in all Waitrose and M&S stores. My article is on page 95. For those of you who want to learn trading, who want to take this skill further, who want to learn more, check out my website, www.capitalatrading.co.uk. And for those of you who want to get access to my Discord, send an email to capitalatrading@hotmail.com and I'll send you the link back. Now with that being said, let's take a look at the fundamentals.
Okay, so as always, it's important to check out them fundamentals. Last week was heavily impacted with the news, as we saw an explosive week, very volatile, markets moving up and down all over the place. So this week now, straight away, Monday, the New Zealand dollar's interest rate decision, early doors. I'll have a look at the impact that that's going to have on the New Zealand dollar throughout the week, see if there's any opportunities to jump on in that currency. Tuesday, nothing really to worry about. I'll take a look at the CAD just after the New York Open to see if this news has any impact on that currency. Again, the next day, there'll be more of a focus on the CAD just after that New York Open. Again, I believe Wednesday will show the real impact behind that currency. Thursday, I'll switch my focus over to the US dollar again just after the New York Open. But other than that, I'm expecting a more quiet week, more following the trend and less impact from the news. So with that, let's get into the charts. Okay, so as always, I'm going to start with gold. Now, last week I was monitoring this area around the 1750, 1740 for a buy push. We've had a good push up towards the 1810, 1800 mark. We've created a nice little double top here. So what I believe is I do believe price is making its way towards the 1840. I do believe the best thing to focus on would be a buy. If I just come down the time frame here, I'm looking at this lonesome bearish candle around the 1780, 1784. If I move to the hour again, the setup looks a little bit better. This is the area that I'm going to be looking at, the 1784. Let's give it to the 1788 just to see if price is going to stick here in line with that candle and then hopefully continue with that push to the upside where I believe it's coming to around the 1840, 1850 level. That's going to be the gold USD. Again, very similar is going to be the gold euro. So I'm just going to be looking for a similar movement. I want to see price on this one come back towards the 1580. This is the scenario that I'm looking at. And then I want to see price continue pushing, hopefully towards the 1630, 1640 mark. So keep an eye on them two together. That's going to be the gold USD and gold euro. Okay, next up is going to be the US 30. I won't spend too long as there was a case study video released yesterday. Be sure to check that out. So last month, I mentioned a sell move from around this 36200, 36400 mark, and we had a monstrous move to the downside going all the way to the 3400 point. Price then started to rise back up towards the level. And this week, we've had some manipulation with the interest rate decisions that were announced last week. We had a movement from here, which flushed price up towards that area. And then the pounds interest rate decision was announced. That made this start flushing down. So all I'm looking at for next week is just a retest towards this area around the 3600, 35900, looking to see price come back up towards there and then continue this bearish movement to the downside. That's going to be the US 30. And I've got a similar setup on the US 500. So again, very similar price action, made a massive movement to the downside last week. And what I'm looking for now is on an hour time frame. I just want to see price come back towards that 4705, 4725 level, somewhere in there. I want to start to see the struggle. I want to start to see the transaction. And then I believe we can see price coming back towards the 4500 mark. Keep an eye on that one. That's going to be the US 500 and the US 30. Okay, so next up is going to be the UK 100. For those of you who follow me, you'll know that I've been talking about this all year, and now the trade looks like it's starting to progress. We've come towards this weekly area where I believe we can now start to see a bearish environment kick off. If I just come down through the time frames, the struggle in the area looks good. We've got a position around the 7350, 7375 mark, and price has been making some good bearish movements. If I just break it down a little bit more, what I saw on Friday, this was the area that I was looking at. Of course, Friday started to show its hand by moving out of there very late. it looks like to me that that transaction I talk about has been created in the area. So I just do believe the 7,300, give it to the 7,280, somewhere around there. I believe price will retest this week, and then we can start to really kick off and push back towards the 7,000 mark. So keep an eye on that one. That's going to be the UK 100. I'll be updating this throughout the week in my Discord channel if you haven't got access to that. Okay, next up is going to be the euro pound. For those of you who follow me, you'll know we've been riding this for a long time. The bearish environment has just been continuously pushing to the downside. So that's what I'm looking to see continue this week. I feel like prices come back up to an area that they're happy to take the sell from, and they're now pushing the market down from what looks like the 86 point. So if I'm looking for that to continue this week, I just want to see price pull back up towards this 85, 200, 85, 300 level. Looks a bit better on the 30-minute, just around this area here. It looks like the transaction that I'm used to seeing has been created in that area. And I'm just going to look to see price struggle there, hopefully with a London open, and then see the pound gain some strength around 8 o'clock in the morning. So keep an eye on that one. That's going to be the euro pound. Okay, so next up is going to be the pound USD. A very interesting week last week with the interest rate decisions for both currencies. And what happened is price shot towards a previously selling level. So this is where a sell was mentioned before. And then I had this area here marked out. So what I wanted to see is if it was going to stick to it. It didn't. It went to the higher one. And it looks like they've just continued with their sell pattern now. As I break this time frame down, what I'm going to mention is some key areas to watch where I believe this sell is going to continue. I do believe that this isn't going to be the end of it here. So what I want to see is what area is going to retest. Now, this was the London close on Friday, so it may come up towards that and then continue with this bearish environment. If it isn't that area, then it will be the New York Open around the 133 level. And just above that, 133.200 is where London opened. So there's lots of key things that have been left there on Friday. It'll be interesting to see if price comes back up, interacts with these areas, and then there might be a trading opportunity. So keep an eye on that one. That's the pound USD. Be aware of these levels, be aware of these areas. It's mainly the 133 that I'm looking at, but give it a bit of space. Let's see what happens. That's the pound USD. Very similar to the pound USD is going to be the euro USD. And again, it's just a similar thing to what we've spoken about. Very bearish environment. Friday had a bearish day. And now I'm just looking to see price retest towards these levels. This is going to be where London closed on that day. So around the 12700. And then if not, 13200 up here is where New York opened that day. So there may be a marker left there by the market makers. To me, it looks very good, like a transaction's being made here, which as you can see, that's why the push came. So let's just look for the retest some point this week, hopefully with a New York Open, and then see if we can get a trade there. Keep an eye on that one. That's going to be the euro USD. Okay, so next up is going to be the EURNZD. It's quite clear to see that there's been a transaction created around the 167 level, 167.500. Give it a bit of space to breathe. If I just come down the time frames, I'm going to start to break the story down. So price started to struggle in this area. We've had a push down. It's come again. And then on Friday, it's shown its hand by pushing away from the level. So I do believe there's something here. I do believe there's a marker here. Now, if I just get down onto the 1 hour, 30-minute, this is the area I'm going to be looking at. This is where I can see that they've created a transaction and pushed away from the area. So it may come a bit lower before we start to see price come back up towards this level. It may be a trade that comes later in the week. So keep an eye on this one around the 167.200. I'd say to the 167.400. I want to see price struggle off of this candle and then continue this movement down. That's going to be the EURNZD. Okay, so we're definitely looking to see some dollar strength this week. What I want to talk about here on the USD Jpy is this area here where price sat for a whole week. And I just want to explain how I think there's been a manipulation there. So of course, the 113 price, that's the main level. That's the key number that we're looking at. And I believe there's going to be a buy push from here this week. If I just break it down a little bit more, maybe the 113 to 113.400, just give it a bit of space to breathe. Somewhere in here, I'm looking to see price struggle. And then of course, the target is back up towards that 115 mark. So a good 200, maybe 150 pip move. Keep an eye on that one. Again, there's going to be news that impacts this. So just be aware, we're trying to catch it with a New York Open. That's the USD Jpy. Okay, so next up is going to be the Nzd Cad. This was a move that I mentioned on the last Forex Weekly, and it's now progressed quite nicely. Of course, Friday's price action has has actually hit the area and shown us that there's a possibility of a trade here. If I just break down the time frames, it's going to be that 87,200 to the 87 mark. I just want to see price come back up towards this level, start to struggle. Again, we've got that Canadian dollar news this week. So if it's in line with that, or if I believe on Wednesday or Thursday, then we can start to see the push down and hopefully see price coming all the way back towards the 85 mark. So keep an eye on that one. It's going to be the Nzd Cad. Okay, this is going to be an interesting one. It's going to be the USD Swiss franc. And basically, I've been monitoring this range now since the past week. And I mentioned that there would be a lot of liquidity in these areas. So a lot of stop losses, a lot of traders have put their money at risk in these areas. Now, what it's done is it shot up towards this level, grabbed as many stop losses, liquidity as it could. And then it came towards this one and grabbed the stop losses under here. So I'm kind of saying that there's a range that's forming. I believe that we're going to start to see price sell from this point, come back just a bit lower than this point and push up again. So it's about understanding which direction do we think it's really going to burst away from. Now, what I've seen as last week's price action, this is where the week started and this is where the week finished back in the same level. So I do believe they are trying to push this up from what I understand of that picture. So maybe catch a position around the 91,800, 92. I can see this going at least back up towards the 94 mark. I do believe it is going to turn bullish. Keep an eye on that one. That's going to be the USD Swiss franc. Okay, next up is going to be the pound Swiss franc. I just wanted to mention this swing down and how price on Thursday just kind of shot up into the area and then rejected. If I just come down the time frames, what I'm looking for is to see price struggle this week at the 123 level. It looks like something happened there on Thursday where there's been a bit of manipulation. And I just want to see if price is going to struggle back at that level. So keep an eye on the 123 mark. It has got the potential to come towards the 124, 124, 500. So I will be looking to see a lot of struggle here. I want to see my transaction. There'll be a lot of things that I need to see before I think about pulling the trigger. So keep an eye on that one. That's going to be the pound Swiss franc. That's the 123 mark. Okay, next up is the AUD USD. Again, this is a move that I mentioned last week. It looked like it was about to happen. And now I feel like it could happen this week. So it's the 72,500 mark. This is the scenario that I'm looking at. Price almost got there and then instantly shot away. So we're going to need to start to see some Australian dollar strength straight away. And then, of course, later in the week, the US dollar, I want to see it just struggling in this area. And then there may be a transaction, a trade to take at the 72,500 mark. So keep an eye on that one. That's going to be the AUD USD. Okay, last but not least is going to be the pound NZD. Now, this is it's back at an area where I mentioned a trade before and we had a monstrous move to the downside around 500, 600 pips. Now, price is back at that same level, weirdly enough, at the end of the year. And if I just break down the time frame, I want to see price just hitting into this level here around the 196,600 to the 196,800. This is the candle that's bringing some interest to me. I want to see what's going to happen there. Friday kind of showed its hand by the way it started to shoot down on the last minute before the market closed. So again, we've got that New Zealand dollars interest rate decision that may fuel this early on in the week. So again, just keep an eye on that 196,600 to the 196,800. I believe we're going to see price struggle here. And then of course, there's a nice target back down towards the 194,600, 194,800. Nice 200 pip move. So keep an eye on that one. It's going to be the pound NZD.
Okay guys, that's all from me this week. Again, analyze some of the opportunities, keep track of them yourself, see how they progress throughout the week. Again, if that sounds good, if you trade, if you take investments, hit that subscribe button in the bottom right corner. Stay up to date with the channel. Like I mentioned at the start, 2022 is going to be a massive year. I just want to say a quick shout out to my sponsors, the Absolutely magazine. It's available now in all Waitrose and M&S stores. My article is on page 95. Check it out. It's going to be a really good read. Have a great Christmas, and I'll see you in 2022.